The situations where you begin to question everything. Welcome to Conversations for the Moving Self. We are here for episode 14 today, and I'm super excited to have Emma Poyer here. Emma Poyer is a really dear friend of mine from university. We studied together at London Contemporary Dance School in London, and yeah, now we get to collaborate as dancers, but also I am learning French with Emma. But I'm super excited to have Emma here. Emma is a Réunionese multidisciplinary dance performer and choreographer, currently based in the UK and working in a lot of different spaces with a lot of different dance artists. Her background involves contemporary dance, ballet, and global styles, working with choreographers such as Lahore, Joy El Puerto Ritter, and James Cousins. She has studied in various spaces in various disciplines, including École des Sables, immersing herself in Senegalese contemporary dance, as well as Verve and at London Contemporary Dance School. And currently, she's part of Marina Abramovich's new performance, the Balkan Erotic Epic, choreographed by Blenard Azizaj. And recently also worked with Amina Kayem Dance Company, whose repertoire uses Katak dance to tell the stories of the marginalized female voice. I'm super excited to have Emma here because I think she's someone that whenever I have been able to collaborate or share the space with Emma, there's just a sense of warmth and uh, passion that exudes from her. And she creates a really safe space for me. And to be able to continue just to have the kinds of conversations that her and I have had over the years around uh, sharing dance and wanting to continue giving to this thing that we're so passionate about is super exciting. So I'll start today with just asking you how you are today, how you're showing up for your movement and well-being practice, Emma.
Hello, Megan. Thank you for having me. I'm honored, really. How I am today, I'm feeling good. And how am I showing up for my practice today? Today or in general, I guess, like at the moment. Um, I guess in general, every day I do a little checkup with myself in my journal every night before going to bed. So I check how I feel physically, mentally, and emotionally, um, which over month is very is very useful. I think I've been doing that for maybe 3 years at least. And there was maybe a time I stopped for a few months and I could feel the difference. So this is my daily practice, is to check with those three big pillars uh, that makes us a human, right? Your physicality, your mental, and your emotions. Um, yeah, that would be the main thing.
I love it. I pff, I was like, oh wow, I need to do this. And
It's
yeah,
really short. It really takes 2 minutes. Like I have this small journal on my bedside table, and I just write P for physical, and sometimes I just write good. Sometimes I just do a little tick. And sometimes actually just writing physically, I'm like, oh, actually, I need to focus. Things happen physically today. I need to write down. And then mentally, emotionally, nothing special. So I just write all right or good or nice,
yeah,
whatever. Or I don't know. Sometimes I don't write anything, but at least I took 1 second to check.
yeah, to actually like bring the attention back to yourself and how you're doing.
Hmm.
I think, yes, for at least where I am at currently, this is, I think, maybe something perfect that I could pick up at the minute because I think, yes, right now I feel a little bit like I'm not having a lot of time to invest in maybe like my journaling practices that I have at different phases of my life, but how to be able to just insert something quite quick. And then if something comes up that you're like, okay, I need to invest a bit more time in this and I can, then you can take that
Mm.
further. But yeah.
I
Also,
think
it's
it's
a super nuanced question, but like, are you normally someone that tends to reflect on things more at night or in the morning?
oh, at night. I'm not a morning person. It takes it takes me 24 hours to wake up. So basically, I'm in my bed. Mentally, I'm in my bed all the time.
I think I'm also a night person, but I don't know. I asked because I think I tend to, for some reason, journal in the morning normally, but I'm a
That's
night person, and so it kind of made me think, oh, maybe I should try it. Maybe I should try it night.
mm, yeah.
Uh, which, like isn't a groundbreaking discovery, but like just sometimes it's nice to go, ah, okay, like have a shift in the lens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
agree.
think I was going to say something else and I kind of cut you off.
No, no, it's fine. No, the one thing as well that I do, so I check on those 3 points, and I always end up with "thank you for today." This is a practice that I got from a friend, so it's not my invention. Um, but yeah, always finishing by "thank you for today," and then I can write any other motivating sentence or compliments to myself. But always that thank you for today little sentence.
You really like that. Yeah, like the just a little sentiment of like the effort of showing up.
Mm. And
And
sometimes you had a bad day and you're like, I don't want to say thank you for today. No, no, no. But you're like, Thank you for today. I guess I
yes.
learned something today."
Yeah. No, it's super nice. And I think it's something that also as an artist, as a mover, as someone whose life uh is often changing so much, this is a really nice way to
Yeah,
keep something small and consistent,
exactly.
but that is not reliant on anything really but yourself and the notebook. But even then, like you can go without the notebook, like it's quite nice. Actually, I at the beginning, as you were speaking about it, I you said something about doing this over the month, and I wondered if you do you look back at all of the like at the end of the month, do you look back, or is it kind of something that you just let go?
I let go. Sometimes I will go over uh,
Hmm.
a page. Like if I wrote something very important that day, lots of thoughts, then I will put a little marker or something because I know I might want to read this back. Um, but most of the time, no, there's no reading the month or like, no, it's just, it's done.
Yeah, yeah. I like
It's the
it.
unloading of my brain. So
Yeah.
there's no need to go
Yes.
back and rethink about all of it.
Yes, yes. We have to let go. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's I think I'll take something away from it personally at least. Um, oh wow. Yes. I actually feel quite grounded after hearing you speak about it. Um, as we continue in the conversation, I think maybe it would be nice to uh, just share a little bit about your journey into movement and how your relationship with movement began.
Mm,
Yeah, where the story started for you.
mm, since birth, I don't know. It's it's my first memory of life um is to be like a toddler, like barely walking and speaking, and I'm already like running to my mom's office, and I remember she would turn her chair around, and the pivoting chair. And I would be like, to dance, I want to dance, I want to dance. And she was like, but you're too small, maybe. Like, no one is taking children under 5, and I was maybe 3 or 4. And she was like, you have to wait, you have to wait. And I was like, when is it gonna be my time? When is it? So yeah, it's always been there. Apparently, the story is that I saw the Swan Lake on TV, and I thought that's crazy. They're on their tiptoes. I want to do that. Um, but yeah, I think it's the watching Swan Lake and just something that comes from, I don't know, energy from the universe that just decided that for me. I feel sometimes I didn't even choose it. It was chosen for me,
Yeah, yeah.
which
Mm,
removes a lot of pressure. It's like, oh,
yeah.
what am I doing? I just have to accept my faith, my fate.
This is this is the path. This is the path, and it's meant to be. Yes. I love it though. Uh, and the drive that you felt even as a little human, like, mom, let me.
Yeah. Yeah, literally every day I would harass her. I think it was good. And then
I love
I started classes when I was 5 and just went from conservatoire to conservatoire into BA into masters into freelance.
life. Life now. It's
Crossing
okay.
continents and hopping from one country to another.
Yeah, yeah, this is it. It's a big part of your journey is moving a lot, and even now, like we've been catching up recently, and you've been moving a lot again, like as a freelancer, and I wonder how that's going, how you're feeling about it right now. I know you're also like amidst a move again, and yeah, what is
Yeah.
currently?
Moving, I didn't realize because it's been progressive. It was like you first do the big leap from Réunion to Paris. And then I stayed there for 4 years. Then it was London. That was 3 years. And then Leeds. That was 1 year, but then I stayed again. So now it's been 2 years. So each time it's a little bit of a shorter. But since freelancing, it's like I go 3 weeks there for a job, then I come back 4 days home, where I literally just recover from that last job and repack my suitcase and I leave again for another job. So it's like shorter and shorter amount of times. Um, it was a bit hard, but I'm learning how to make those travelings easier, more comfortable, because the reflex at first is like packing the essentials, and I realized that I'm working. I need to have the little objects of my home that make it comfortable for just for my health in general. I didn't realize that having, I don't know, my hand cream was so important, but now I have it and I'm like, I'm so happy to put it on my hands before going to bed or whatever. Little things like that. So I rethought my way of packing. And now it's like instead of packing a suitcase, I pack a mini version of my house.
Yes, I love it.
Mm.
It's
But
yeah,
it's
it's
not
something that
easy.
I think has been on my mind recently. Also, I was listening to another podcast recently, and it was some artists who are like on tour for a show,
Mm.
and one of them said like, "Oh, I actually bring like my pillowcase with me to every
Yeah, yeah.
thing, and I'll have to bring like your full pillow, but it's some sensation."
Mhm.
And it made me think like I have the same pillowcase I started in London with, and like it feels quite subconsciously like I was like, yeah, that actually I think it's way more important to me than I realized. And if it disappeared, I would probably be like, ah. But
Because you have to rebuild your nest whenever,
yeah,
like, yes, the company will book a hotel room for you, or you can stay at some friend's house, or you sublet something, but like no matter what it is, it needs to be your personal space because otherwise you don't fully disconnect from the work. And
yeah.
1 week feels like 3 weeks, and 3 weeks feels like a year. And yeah, that's
And
what
you're
I've
never
learned
like
recently.
resting. Yeah. Mm. It's super true. Do you notice uh like when you're in the studio or wherever the rehearsal process is happening, do you have so I know for me at least, like I have my students even said to me this week, like, oh, you always have two water bottles. I was like, yes, like it's a part of the routine, you know? You notice the same thing kind of crossing into the rehearsal space, or it's less more just in the
No, I would say because no, it's more in myself.
yeah.
In
Mm.
the because the studio, the rehearsal space is one thing, and I'm the dancer version of myself, rehearsing, working, focused. And then I go home, but because it doesn't feel like home, I don't realize it after maybe a few days. And then I'm
Mm.
like, why can I not do this? Or why am I bothered by smaller things? Or and then I realize it's because my comfort has not been
Yeah.
prepared properly. Like my alone time is not as qualitative as it should be, and it's because I'm missing little details like my favorite pajama or something like that, and I only packed an old t-shirt instead of my comfortable pajamas or whatever, something like we just mentioned. So it's over time I realized that yeah, mentally I'm not sure how to process informations, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, yeah. Makes a lot of sense with so much new and mm,
Hmm.
super interesting. Outside of the physical things that maybe you plan or organize to prepare yourself for uh change in space, what do you notice like you need maybe in terms of practice or in terms of routine or whatever, like that somewhere in that category between routine and practice or in terms of your when when you enter a new job and it's in a new space and maybe the schedule is different from the job before, or like it's 3 days instead of 3 weeks, or this sort of thing, what are you learning or noticing is useful for you, or maybe vice versa, like what is not useful for you in terms of the work in more of a practice or like routine or how you enter the space rather than the physical things that you prepare for yourself?
So more like mentally, how I
Mentally or
oh, or physically.
mentally or physically, like your being, but rather than like object.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. Um, um, mentally, I would say that's in my nature. I will give at least 24 hours of being like positioning myself more as an observer to see how the choreographer works, to see how the group interacts, da da da,
Mm.
until sometimes in half a day you're like, okay, that's how it works and that's it. And sometimes it takes a full day or a day and a half to make sure you're positioning yourself correctly. Like, okay, how much do I invest myself or how much do I like protect myself from this environment? Um, and then physically, um, physically, I don't do anything specific. I don't think I do. I just try to arrive early enough to warm up my body and everything. Um, but definitely sometimes you're like, oh, okay, there's not enough of this, so I need to anticipate more, or actually the warm up is super intense, so I don't need to warm up that much by myself before. So I no, so for physically, it will depends on what the job, like what the days scheduled. Um, but yeah, I guess mentally is like, oh, okay, new group of people, new leader, new goal for this job. Um, and not just goal, but also new practice, because one time it's contemporary dance, but it's that choreographer's contemporary dance. for this piece. And then another time it's katak and it's okay, it's a whole new technique and discipline and cultural background, because then that means we approach the studio space differently. And then it's a commercial thing, so it's like fast, 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 and there is no time to think that much. You just do and you get on with it. And so I guess the more different types of jobs I'll do, the more I'll adapt quickly. But I guess also I'm lucky to be very adaptable as a person in general. So yeah, I think it's mostly how people interact in the studio, um, that takes a bit of time to understand. So
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing. I loved it. Super interesting.
thank
Yeah,
you.
I guess maybe that leads nicely into I'm curious about like it's kind of a question that I've just been thinking about recently, uh, in general.
Mm.
Who and so I wanted to also ask you the same question of who you are in the studio versus who you are away from the studio.
Well, this question, I don't know. I read it and I was like, it will come, the answer will come. Mm, it's a hard one. It's really
I
hard
know. I
because,
can't remember who asked me it, and I don't think I have an answer yet either.
right,
But I ask other people it now.
yeah, yeah, thank you. No, but I was talking about it with a friend and I was like, I still don't have an answer really. Like, I was like, for some time, like, a friend told me uh, that one of the best things she's learned was to stop defining or like presenting herself through her job. And
Ooh.
I realized that I was doing that and I should not stop, but find other ways to define myself. Um, so that was the reflection for some time, which is kind of similar to that, like who are you in the studio and outside of the studio? Um, because then I was like, well, who am I in the studio? I know who I am outside of the studio actually, but in the studio, am I the same person or what? Um,
Well, and I
n-
think for me at least, when I've been reflecting on the question or starting to think about it in terms of my own lens, like because our work, I have a feeling, I really wish I could remember who asked me the question first. So I can be like, tell me more about this. But like,
you,
uh,
it's all your fault. My
but
brain
I
is.
guess practice like, or with a profession like dance or something that, already involves a lot of vulnerability and honesty and self-expression. Like obviously the amount that overlaps is going to be different than
Yeah.
another type of profession. But I think, yes, I had the same kind of thought process of like, oh, it's important because I don't know the answer. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
I mean, on a maybe more surface level or practical way, in the studio, I'll be. No, I was about to say, yeah, like you start with some a thought and then you're like, but it's also true outside. So am I exactly the
Yes.
same in and out the studio? But not really. But I wanted to say in the studio I'll be m more the working version of myself. So um
Yeah.
like kind of aware of everybody in the space because we need to relate to each other constantly. If I move that way, I need to make sure I'm not gonna end up bumping
Yeah.
into the side of the choreography and I need to stay in coordination with this other side of the group, na na na. So you're kind of like an octopus with all your arms
Mm.
stretched everywhere and your nine brains and so there's this very like not machine but like the computer is on, you know? Um, but and I wanted to say, yeah, and outside of the studio, you're more looking to joke or to relax or things like that. But I also joke and I also relax in the studio. So
Which I think is also quite nice, and maybe that is the point of maybe the reason this question exists is for that reason of like, okay, actually like separating it fully isn't maybe also 100% beneficial. Like maybe it is important to have some overlap. And I also thought as you were speaking, like I had something pop into my mind. And then immediately I was like, oh, but when I'm a dancer versus when I'm the teacher versus when I'm the choreographer, it's also like slightly nuanced.
oh
In a
yes,
sense,
because as a
there's
teacher you're
overlap.
leading.
Yeah.
Yes. Leading, yeah, yes, because as a teacher you lead.
Mm.
You're the number one or like the
Yes, different.
title.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but as a dancer, it's like we are all subtitles because we all form or like we're I don't know how to
Look.
category. We're all a word and we all form a big sentence. Um, so yeah. Yeah. It's a different type of energy.
Yeah.
There's a bit less uh um I would say not communication, but like because as a dancer you have to constantly exchange with every single other dancer. Like,
Yeah.
oh, are
Yeah.
you here in the space now? Okay. Are you here in the space now? Oh, are you doing this that way? Okay.
Yeah.
But as a teacher, I mean,
Yeah.
I've mostly taught kids, so of course I exchange with them. Oh, do you feel like doing this or that? But it's not,
But it's not the
it's
same. Yeah.
one or two questions in one
There is
hour.
some sense of
It's not a conversation. It's
yeah.
yes, whereas as a dancer, you're in constant conversation, not with words, but with your body or like your awareness.
Hmm.
Yeah, I guess it's that's hyper awareness that you don't really need to turn on when you're outside of the studio.
That reminds me of like the same hyper awareness of like walking down the street in a city. You know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah.
something about being super open. I don't know. Versus like, yes, it's a very layered question.
Mm-mm. No, but even if you walk in the city, you have to be aware of the cars and people in the street. But you're very much in your bubble, especially if you have your earpods. You're just like, I, it's like, it's like when you're driving, you're,
Uh,
it's like you do it automatically. You automatically look left and right or right and left. And so it's not a conversation. It's more like reflexes.
yeah, yeah.
Whereas in dance, you should not only be in your reflexes. You can use your reflexes, but you have to be actively present.
Active, yes. Yes, it's super true. Ah,
Mm.
it's true. Ah,
I
dance.
still don't feel like we answered the question fully,
No,
but
I
it's
don't think
it's one
questions really.
to keep thinking about.
Well, and I think something else that came up for me when I had read it was like, is there a part of the question that is about this idea of like how much of you and your personal life do you bring into the space? But I think that also depends on the space that you're in and what the job is and what the like, you know what I mean? It's also so nuanced there. But I wonder if maybe it when I read it and I thought of that, I was like, okay, yes, when I was younger, maybe this question was a slightly different question because I was learning that that relationship with like a general dance class of like how much of me do I bring in and how much do I become quote unquote a robot? Um, but yeah, I think maybe it's just a nice question to have in the world and come back to it sometimes and who knows? Who knows what we'll
Yeah.
discover about it, but yeah, it feels like a very layered question, which is cool.
Mhm. Maybe the answer could just be I'm the same person in and out. And period.
Yeah, which is also quite nice.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
all like
personality.
vulnerability
Yeah.
and
I
honesty.
think when you were saying that, I think I had the same thought. But for me, I would say during rehearsals, there's a bit more practicality and a bit less of my personal experience of life, da, da, da. But as soon as we do a run
Hmm.
or we go on
Hmm.
stage and actually perform, that's when for sure, I let my personal life, um,
Color the
yeah.
moment a bit. Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, but the thing is, yeah, the studio space is shifting. Because
Yeah.
if you're day one, where you're just in research, and then if you're day 20, where you have this whole background of research, the choreography is built, and you're starting to actually put your interpretation into the movement, into the story, like you're
Yeah.
creating a world most of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Haha.
Maybe
So
that's
true.
why it's hard to answer the question, because the space itself is changing.
Right. It's constantly evolving. The brain is I was gonna say
The
the
brain
brain
is
is
braining.
yeah, okay. Now that we've kind of talked about like you in a dancer role, I was curious about asking you a bit more about like your teaching practice and I know that you lead spaces for young people
Hmm.
also in the dance setting, and I wonder currently what how you would describe the space that you are striving to create for dancers, for movers, for young people.
Hmm. Yeah, for this question, I wanted to find something full, I don't know, text of answers. And then I thought actually the answer is very simple. I just care so much for those children. And that's where the whole thing comes from. There's nothing more. I don't try to do something specific. I just know that I care for them and I'm here to share all that I know. And I got lucky and I got very lucky. Oh, I'm gonna be emotional because um yeah, I had to say goodbye to this amazing school. Um but yeah, I got lucky with my students. They're very, very receptive, very motivated. So it was so easy to there was no creating any space. I was just there and we were all there together. And anything I was sharing, they were eating it with their their whole energy. They were just grabbing, absorbing everything. There was no judgment, even though I was doing some weird contemporary things, crawling on the floor and they are not used to it, and they were like like giggling, but they were giggling. They were not judging or they were not mocking. And I think like that's a privilege to have been able to teach such an amazing group of kids because I've been I taught other kids and yeah, sometimes you just have a group of people who are very judgmental and it will take a lot of time to change their mind, change their habits, and and make them feel like they can trust you and they can stop this big facade that they've built for themselves. So So that's yeah, that I guess if the atmosphere is not really nice, it the only answer is like like time and coming back regularly enough for the kids to trust you. But yeah, I didn't even have to do any of that. I was just blessed with the best group of kids. So you just come in with the best energies and they give you 1,000 times more of that best energy. So
Yeah, it sounds super, yeah, incredible.
yeah.
And yeah, but also like I actually started to get a bit emotional with just when you were describing what you want to bring to the space and just this sentiment of care and like I don't even think sentiment is the right word, like it's a pillar. Uh,
Mm.
but I know as a student it's so you can feel that, like, you know what I mean? It's so transparent, it's so obvious when a facilitator and teacher is really showing up because they are doing it as almost like an act of service rather than like anything higher than that. And higher, again, isn't the right word, but like,
Yeah, it's not just a job,
yeah, and
it's
it
little humans that are building themselves.
yeah,
Um, and anything you say is can really impact them.
yeah.
So if you're in the space with, yeah, with a lot of kindness. I once heard this saying, it said, be kind, and be kind. And I
Mm.
thought, yeah, yeah, okay. My first thought was like, yeah, that's a bit simple. And then I was like, actually, kindness requires a lot of courage.
Mm.
Like, because it's
It's true.
not be kind, it's three times. So that means in every circumstance, be kind. And
Hmm.
that's you have
Like,
to be very brave to
yes,
always show kindness.
I love
And it's not weakness, it's not being nice, it's kind. So even though you're even like for example, if you're in a negative situation and you have to defend yourself and be harsh or something, you can still show kindness for the situation or for there is always a space for kindness, even though it's hard or it's not necessarily at the forefront, but at least it
Mm.
prevents from falling into a vicious spiral of hate and judgment and fear.
Mm.
Fear of the other, fear of the unknown, fear.
Yeah. Wow. Hmm.
Yeah.
I really like the sentence you said of like it takes a lot of braveness to be kind. Yes. I want it in like bold font, you know?
Yeah. I always think of my grandpa that who passed away. I think for me he's like the figure of just kindness. He was so kind.
Mm.
Yeah. So whenever
Yeah.
I need this type of energy, I will think of his energy.
Mhm.
Mm. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
my little tool, but
Yeah.
it can be any
Much
other memory.
for sharing that. It's I really appreciate listening.
Mhm.
Uh,
Thanks.
and yeah, I think it's a big I feel it in your energy, even though like trying to think if I've been in a class where you've taught me. But we collaborate and like you can
Mm.
feel it. I can feel it alongside you in a class space, even in a rehearsal space, etc. Um, and I think it's the warmth that I was speaking about earlier. Like obviously we're all human, but I thank you for sharing your warmth.
It's a
Um,
pleasure. Mhm.
I guess like I'm aware of your time and I'm curious about your answer to this question. So I want to head into our closing question, actually, which is from our previous guest. They
Mhm.
are asking, is there anything you're actively trying to unlearn currently, and how are you doing so?
Well, this question is outdated. That's what I first thought for me. Because I would say I was actively unlearning ballet
Hmm.
um, when I was in London, because from 5 until 19, let's say, until the end of Paris chapter, I was full on ballet dancer. And then I arrived in London and I became a full-time contemporary dancer. So it was all of the unlearning of the ballet um, in every way. Um, I have a lot of love for ballet, but it was also very toxic. So it was unlearning all this toxicity and the very strict rules that shaped me in good ways, like taught me discipline and made me strong, but also um, uh, um, very much holds me back because it uh, personally I was not able to develop or not even develop myself, but just be myself. And myself as like a person is very complex. It's not just, oh, I'm this and that. No, no, a person is like a 3,000 million type of energies and emotions and in ballet I couldn't feel maybe more than two emotions or and I couldn't show more than one or two type of faces, I guess. So it was breaking the walls to like make the space for all that's already in me.
Hmm.
Like all the energies that I have, all the emotions that I have, all the I don't know. So that was my big unlearning um for the past few years. And today, this year, I would say I'm learning. Like I feel like
Hmm.
the unlearning chapter ended with my studies. Like the master's was kind of the closing of all of this, but I feel like it was already, yeah, let's say like stepping out of education allows me to, yeah, maybe close this chapter of unlearning. And now I'm in the professional life and is there's everything to learn. I feel like I'm at step one of a new chapter, so which is very exciting. Um, so I'm right now, this moment, I don't have anything specific in mind that I'm trying to unlearn, because I feel like I'm learning a lot right
Yes, yes, I love it.
now.
I, hmm. It's a really nice. It almost makes me think like, is this process quite cyclical, maybe for a lot of us subconsciously?
Mm,
Of like, okay, we learn things, then we let go of what is not what is not necessary for us individually to hold on to, and then we learn the next set of things, and
yeah,
the
set of skills, and then you're at
right.
one set of skills, and you're like, actually, that was not useful. I need to unlearn this and unlearn this and
Yeah.
this and that.
Mm.
Yeah, for
Or
sure.
even shaping like, okay, that taught me this, but now it's teaching me this other thing instead. Now it plays this role in my life, or
Mm,
mm.
yeah.
Yes, we're always a beginner, and
Mhm.
we're always learning and unlearning and all
Mhm.
always. Thank you so
Mhm.
much for sharing, for being so
What
transparent.
about you? Are you unlearning anything?
As you were speaking, I was thinking, I think I'm also in a really big moment of learning. Granted, I'm in a quite a like physically new space as well this year, and learning another language. But I really do think like I'm learning French with Emma as I'm living in Mauritius. Uh, and
What the
I
hell?
Yeah, like I think learning I've always wanted to learn another language. And I was saying recently, I remember saying to you in school, I wanted to learn French, but like
Yeah.
then time kind of took the best of the situation and I didn't prioritize it at that time. But I'm loving the process, and I think that's just one example of what I feel like I'm learning at the moment. But I think the process of learning a language is also making me simultaneously unlearn some nuanced things about language, about like English, for instance, and
Mhm.
equally, especially because I'm learning French for my profession, for my work, for my teaching,
Yeah.
uh, learning and unlearning a lot about communication and building trust. And it's interesting because I think I'm now in a place that when I'm teaching, I am speaking like majority of the class in French, but there are moments where I'm the one who doesn't know. how to say something
Yeah.
maybe puts a different dynamic on the class than it would if I was teaching a class to 8-year-olds in English,
Yeah.
where there's maybe a different relationship between me and the students. And I think at the beginning of the year, maybe I saw moments where I was like, okay, there is this how to communicate with an 8-year-old, for instance, who, because they're younger, like this thought process isn't as clear inherently of, okay, when we're talking about French, I want your help, but when we're talking about dance, maybe like I have more of
Yeah.
the power that's not, I don't ever feel like that's the way that I kind of lead a space, but like we take the direction
Yeah.
from me. Yeah, and so
Yeah.
how do you communicate these ideas and how do I communicate the values that I believe in also
Mhm.
in the second language? Like
Yeah.
so yeah, I feel like a newborn.
Yeah. And about communication, do you not feel like do you not feel like you unlock even a third way of communicating, which is silent or just through people's energies and intentions and body language rather than words? Because I
Mhm.
feel like we are in a society where we put a lot of importance on words and like you don't think and act. You have to think, speak it, or write it. Like there's the language that comes first, and then you go into the action. Um, and I think sometimes you can just think it, translate it in your body, and everybody understands, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's no need for so many words sometimes.
Yes.
So I think having another language or like just um, realizing that your native language is not like doesn't have to be so centered all the time and so present in every second of your life. It
Hmm.
just, I don't know, gives you more
Yeah.
space.
It makes me think a lot about a lesson that I had been working on this like past year before I moved to Mauritius. Like a big theme in my last year in London was when I start to speak, a lot of times as a human, I panic and add more words to try and compensate for the empty space. And I was working with a close mentor a lot the past year, and he was reminding me like there's actually quite a lot of power in silence and in less words sometimes. And I think you know that, but when we're in a vulnerable moment, when we're nervous or
Also,
whatever,
as women, we're told, like it's scientifically proven that we do a lot of because we're expecting to be interrupted by men all the time, or just interrupted in general.
it's interesting.
You
Yeah,
didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
Really, it's scientifically proven that women will use or like filler words or filler sounds. Like it's the society we're growing up in where we're always interrupted. So there's this need to like fill the space all the time because we don't want to be interrupted. And it's hard for us to take the time, you
Hmm.
know? Like this is so hard. This is so, so hard.
Oh, it's so true. And I think that, yeah, so that was kind of already like an underlying theme and thing that was kind of brewing for me. And then entering this role that I'm in now, it added even more of that. And partly out of efficiency and trying to work with the speed that I can pick up a language while equally trying to take the dance teaching as quick as possible of like how can I achieve what I want in the simplest French phrase that I can learn so that I can maximize what I'm able to share. But I also noticed I I'm teaching some students actually who don't speak English or French. And then, yeah, it has to go to what can we communicate without words?
Yeah.
Because I don't have the skills to speak in the language that they speak. And it is like obviously there's challenges to it, but there is also so much that is possible without words. And
Mm.
even like not even just in the teaching, but also like yesterday I was working with some students and I could tell one of the young people she was getting quite emotional or worked up about something we were doing across the floor, and I could see her internal dialogue without her saying anything. And I just kind of made a little comment to her of like, hey, like some things take time, but the effort is paying off. And she just came up and hugged me and then like walked away. And I was like, oh my gosh, because there was no more words that we needed to
Oh
have.
God.
And then she walked away and continued, and I was like, you're a little superstar, you know what I mean? Um, but also for me to be able to understand that she understood and that we could move on. I don't know, just the power of words, the power of
It's just of like, yeah.
students, yeah, and what they bring to the space also. I
Mhm.
don't know. I feel, yeah, I do really feel like I'm in a newborn chapter of my life.
Yeah, me too.
A cool place to be in.
Yeah, it is. I really like.
Mm. Oh, it's fun. Newborn phase.
Yes.
Mm. Thank you so much for joining today. It's been so lovely
Again.
to chat, and I probably could chat for a good another 2 hours, but I also have to head to go teach.
Mhm.
Uh, but for the listeners, if you had anything that you would like to ask Emma or hear us talk about more, please leave it in the comments below. Uh, Next episodes will be coming out on Saturdays and guest announcements on Tuesdays. And please follow along on the journey, subscribe. It is really useful for the show. And big thank you again to Emma for joining today.
Thank you, Megan. Dus, love you so much. Mm.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of season 2 of Conversations for the Moving Self. It has been such a pleasure to have you along for this part of the journey, and I invite you to follow along on your listening platform as well as any social media that you're using to get updates for the podcast. It's super helpful for us to continue to be able to create these episodes and share these really amazing and important conversations.
Thank you so much from CMS. Lots of love.